Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series and is intended to aid the Dreamcast and gaming community.
Hey guys, it's Adam here, and check it out. I've got a package. This comes from Germany, and it actually arrived quickly, unlike certain packages from Germany in recent months that did not. This is exciting though. This is a brand new Sega Dreamcast game, which means a new Keep Dreaming episode. It's long overdue, and I do apologize, but finally we have a worthwhile reason. So like I said, this is a brand new Sega Dreamcast game. Now if you're not familiar, the Sega Dreamcast, which is my favorite console of all time, still gets new games. Not a whole lot, mind you, but there are still new titles released for it. Not by Sega, but by independent publishers and developers who will, because the Dreamcast is able to essentially read on unlicensed code, people can make software for it without Sega's permission. And Sega certainly doesn't care. So what that means is that people write games, they make them, they sell them. And I've been supporting that cause really since this began back in like 2000, I don't even know, I think 2003 was the first with Feet of Fury. But anyway, so we're lucky enough that we generally get one or two of these every year. So this is the first one of 2015, and supposedly there's quite a few more. But before I go into some more details regarding this specific game, I want to talk a little bit about the company that released it, a company called HuCast, which is, their logo is right there in the box. HuCast is no stranger to the Dreamcast. They and a few other developers or publishers have been making games for quite some time. I want to show you HuCast's previous body of work. I do want to warn you though that because I like to support the independent Dreamcast scene like a lot because I'm obsessed with that console, like in an almost unhealthy way. Hell, I got a paper version of it right there. Because of that, I buy both like the regular edition, limited edition, all that stuff. So I'm going to show you all those real quick, just from HuCast. We have a big pile. We have Ducks regular edition, Ducks limited edition, Ducks 1.5 regular edition, Ducks 1.5 limited edition, Ducks 1.5 jewel case edition, Ducks 1.5 collector's edition, which actually included another version of the game called Ducks 1.1. Redux regular edition, Redux limited edition, and Redux special edition. See, it's essentially three different games, but you know, I just got the same thing a bunch of times. But what's unique about this new release is that it is not another shmup, and it is not some other iteration of Ducks or Redux, what have you. It is a brand new game that is not a shmup. And if you're not familiar with what a shmup's a shoot 'em up. It's, you know, a game where you're like a little ship and there's shit flying at you, and you know, like R-Type or Darius, you know, those types of games, or Ikaruga. That's like 90% of the independent Dreamcast scene games. Fortunately, this is not one of those. So what this game is, which I guess I'll just go ahead and open it and we'll keep talking about it. This game is a platformer. Platformer like a 2D era platformer, like something you might have seen on the Genesis or the Super Nintendo. And I'm really excited about that because I really love games like that. It's really, I think, might be my favorite genre. Alright, I totally butchered this box. But inside, we have packing material. And then we have the game. Ooh, I'm excited. Let's see here. We have, this is Alice's Mom's Rescue, limited edition. And it includes, this is also Alice's Mom's Rescue regular edition. And it also includes little cards, you know, advertisements for Ducks 1.5, both sides. It's in order for Ghost Blade, which is a new Dreamcast game that's coming up. I should talk about this in a little bit. A little advertisement for Alice's Mom's Rescue, which basically advertises that this game exists, which obviously, because I just got it. And then Ducks Collector's Edition, which I was just talking about and showed you. Now, before I talk more about the game, the funny thing about this, alright, so they had included a thing for Ghost Blade. One thing, if you follow the Dreamcast independent scene, one thing you'll know about it is that when games are announced, and it's years before you get them, it's kind of an accepted thing because these are not games made by Sega, they're not games made by EA or Activision, they're not big companies, they're just, you know, a couple of dudes somewhere, and they're doing it at their own pace. So what you have to accept is that when these games get announced, it might be like a year before you can pre-order it. Or maybe sometimes when they announce it, they allow you to pre-order it at the same time. And then it'll be years before it comes. it's as far as I'm concerned, is a totally accepted thing, and I'm okay with that because there are no patches with the Dreamcast. You want to make sure the game is done and is good and is completed. You know, I would prefer a completed project that takes a while as opposed to an expedited project that is buggy and unfinished. So that's a thing that usually happens. Like Ghostblade, I think I pre-ordered in like 2012, and they're still saying go ahead and pre-order it because it's coming, and it is, I'm sure. Along with a few others that are still due out, Leona's Tricky Adventures, Pure Solar. There's other ones on the list that I've pre-ordered years ago, and we still get occasional updates saying like here's the status of things, but wait, take your time and wait. So why am I bringing that up at all? Alice's Mom's Rescue completely defies that convention. And the reason that is this game was only announced like a month ago. Just came out of nowhere. They're like, hey, brand new Sega Dreamcast game. I follow HughCast on Facebook. I follow Dreamcast Today on Facebook. That's if you care about getting new Dreamcast information, I highly recommend Dreamcast Today as something to follow. So I just saw it in my news feed. It said, new Dreamcast game coming called Alice's Mom's Rescue. I was like, awesome! And then it said, you can pre-order it in like 2 weeks from now. And I was like, great. And then they announced the pre-orders went up. And I was like, great. I went ahead and pre-ordered it. And then like a week later, they're like, all right, we're shipping them. And I was like, what? Because that has never happened in the history of the Dreamcast scene. There has never been a game that was just like, here's the announcement, here's the pre-order, all right, we're shipping. And here it is. Like, I only heard about this game a month ago, and here it is. I know if you aren't into the independent Dreamcast scene, this might be like, so what? Games do that all the time. They get announced and then they come out quickly. Yeah, but not in the independent Dreamcast scene. Like I said, these are not major companies. These are just a couple of guys. So anyway, very cool to have some brand new Dreamcast games. And ones that I'm actually really excited about. Now, or one that because it's the same game. The game is, like I said, it's a 2D platformer, and it is actually based, as far as I can tell, correct me if I'm wrong, but this appears to be Alice of Alice in Wonderland lore. I mean, it's got white rabbits, she's wearing the same basic outfit, and I can only assume that based on the title, you're basically supposed to save her mother, although I don't know a whole lot about Alice in Wonderland lore, but I don't know how much of her mother being significant was in there. But anyway, I'm assuming you travel to Wonderland and you go through some shit. Now, the thing is, I actually know very little about this game. Like I said, it was only announced a little bit ago, and I didn't do a whole lot of research into it until like right before I shot this video, because, again, these don't usually just show up. But what I do know is that it does look like a really fun platformer, very clearly based on like Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario World type of style of gameplay. It actually looks like a hell of a lot of fun. And I'm actually a lot more excited about it than I have been for a Dreamcast independent release than I have any other in quite some time. So very cool, very neat to have that. There you have the game, and on the bottom you have the OST, as well as a colored manual with controls and all that stuff. So very cool to have that. That's the other thing about the independent release independent release concept for the Dreamcast that people don't always seem to realize is these aren't like CDRs. Like, they didn't, burn this on their computer and then mail it to you. Like, these are made in factories, they're pressed, and they have nice artwork. They're very legitimate. And I highly recommend supporting it if the Dreamcast is of any significance to you, and as it is to me. Realized I didn't do an unboxing of this one, so I'll just go ahead and show you the front there up close, and the back, and on the inside it's really just the disc, and then you have the manual here, and if I can get that out, there we go. The manual really is just the control layout for the game, so there you go, and there's the front. Decided I would go ahead and show you guys some gameplay here. In case I didn't make it clear, the jewel case version of the game is the regular edition, and the DVD style one is, of course, the limited edition that includes that bonus CD track, if that's something of interest to you. That one is limited to only 300 copies, so act quickly. But yeah, so here's the animated intro and everything, and I do think this must be based on Alice in Wonderland. Your VMU is actually utilized in a somewhat creative way. It has a little icon there you can see during gameplay. Just so you're aware, this game does support multiple languages.
When you first turn it on, it'll present you with multiple flags. I believe I recognize the Union Jack, obviously representing English. I believe there was also the French flag. I want to say the Spanish flag. I only looked at it once, but there's multiple flags there, so a lot of different languages are covered. I'm sure German is also in this game as well, so I'm obviously playing in English as that's the only language that I speak. Now, in case you're curious, this game is running through VGA, so it's running at 480p. I have it connected to an HDMI scaler, the one I've been using for years. That way you get the best video quality out of it, and of course so I could capture it at that best video quality. Like all independent Dreamcast games, it is of course region free as well. Now I want to address something I'm sure is inevitably going to come up, and that's that the game does look simplistic. A lot of people complain like, oh, you know, why does it look like a Sega Genesis game, or why does it look like a Super Nintendo game? This is the kind of complaints that always happen with independent Dreamcast games. But the thing is, people want like 3D, you know, complex games without really understanding how hard those are to make on especially a limited budget. So you're going to have to settle for the fact that what we're going to get is 2D games, and 2D games are by no means a bad thing. They're actually a lot of fun. I mean, some of the best experiences I ever had were on 2D platforms like the Genesis and the SNES, so I'm very happy to welcome this into that club, and it's really cool to get a brand new game that isn't a shmup. So that's the thing, like I said before, most of the time what we get is shmups, but again, shmups is what sell on the Dreamcast. So if you're one of those people who's been complaining like, hey, you know, like, why don't we ever get anything else? This is your chance to prove it, man. Like, go ahead and buy this, support this cause, and you might get more games that are like this and that aren't shmups. This is a really good one, and I've actually had a lot of fun. I know it looks simplistic as far as gameplay goes, but it is actually a lot of fun. I only show you guys the first 2 levels here, but I think there's like 25 of them. And yeah, I kept playing for a while. I actually thought this was really, really good. So yeah, if you can afford it and you're interested in it at all, I would highly recommend checking it out. You can buy the game at hughcast.com. That's really my final thoughts on the whole thing, is I think it's a pretty cool game, and I hope to see you guys support it, and I hope they make more games. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all later.